Tonight on the Black Channel. Well, it seems that maybe we made a miscalculation here in the era of Trump. Why? Apparently made a gross miscalculation. Why? A black woman has been detained here, and some of the other folks there in the old dead black media, maybe they were right about this all along here. Maybe they were warning us about things. They made it very clear. A black woman was detained. Black activists detained. So they're grabbing us now. How is it that we didn't see this? How is it we didn't predict that they were gonna come for us? Why is it we didn't see that? But folks, maybe I need to let you know that maybe we've been misinforming you. We underestimated it. We didn't have it correct all this time. Perhaps we didn't. It's a lot to take in right now, man. It's a lot to take in. Well, we have an authoritative source, the Chicago Defender. There's no reason in the world that we should not accept their reporting on this. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. Black woman activist detained by ICE amid Trump's mass deportation efforts. So that's it. They're just coming to deport black folk here, period. Clearly, black woman activists got it. Black woman activists got it from the Black Information Network. Okay, well, the black. A black woman activist. Okay. So all the black female activists, watch out. Here it comes. Jason misled you. It's black female activist. A black woman activist has been detained by ICE amid President Donald Trump's mass deportation efforts. Okay. It's all over here now, folks. According to reports, 31-year-old Melissa Melly Mel Atwell Holder, a social media activist who's been a vocal critic of the People's Progressive Party's civic government of Guyana and the opposition, is currently being held in ICE custody in Louisiana. The specifics of Atwell Holder's immigration status remain unclear. She reportedly traveled to the U.S. last year, but the details of her legal standing haven't been publicly disclosed. Didn't see that one coming. Wait a minute, according to them, this black woman activist, well, they didn't really say very much about the immigrant part of it. Black woman activist, well, somebody reading that real quick would think that they're just grabbing up black folks. No. Well, Jason, her immigration status, it's unclear, so he's just grabbing just the black ones. Okay, well, Trump is a white supremacist, so certainly Elon Musk, absolutely, without question. So, yeah, maybe that's the case right there. Maybe that's the case. Maybe that is. Let me go ahead and see if we can refer to Michael Imhotep. Michael Imhotep there. He's got the article. Says here that I told you black immigrants would be caught up in Trump's mass deportation campaign. Folks, Michael thinks he's breaking news. I guess he thinks he's breaking news. I told y'all black immigrants would be caught up in Trump's mass deportation campaign. At the same time, he wants to let white South Afrikaners come to the U.S. So, by the way, he's gotten 17 likes on this, so wasn't quite the home run that Michael might have been hoping for. Yes, sir. The only thing black intelligentsia is missing is intelligence. That's the only thing the black intelligentsia is missing. So why don't we go ahead and deep dive into this right quick? Because they were trying to tell you here that they were grabbing black women. And then you start looking into it a little bit further there. They were grabbing black women. Very, very interested. All right, why don't we go take a look at a couple of things here. Let's take a look at CaribbeanNationalWeekly.com. Guyanese influencer Melly Mel remains in ICE custody in Louisiana. Now, isn't that very interesting? So for the Chicago Defender, their headline is Black Woman activist detained by ICE. But you know, they didn't even do that in the Caribbean paper. Why, they said Guyanese influencer Melly Mel remains in ICE custody. Somebody in the chat room said they tried. Damn! They had to try it. That's Caribbean National Weekly says Guyanese influencer Melly Mel is in ICE custody. You come on over here to newsamericasnow.com. Over 38,000 raised to support Guyanese Melly Mel ahead of immigration hearing. Very interesting that Michael Imhotep didn't see it as necessary to highlight that. He puts up this picture over here, and the picture says the same thing that the Chicago Defender's headline said. Without him putting that into any proper context, it was meant to alarm you. This is business as usual. Well, Jason, you is coming caping for them. Okay, well, you sure you don't want all the information? Nope, don't need it. Okay, well, low information voter, all right. By the way, I was talking about she has a GoFundMe set up for her, quote, legal defense. I've spent years being a voice for the voiceless, standing up against injustice, corruption, and the oppression of our people, she wrote in her post. Today, I find myself in a fight for my freedom, but let me be clear, this fight is not just about me. This is about every person who has ever been silenced, targeted, or wronged by a corrupt system that seeks to crush those who stand against it. Now, let me make sure I got this straight. Ma'am, you came to the U.S. recently. You didn't stand 10 toes down and fight where you from. You came to the U.S. recently. And you here to talk about how corrupt it is. Meanwhile, you fought to get over here. And by the way, she's actually been more than once. So she's worried about being silenced, targeted, and wronged by a, quote, corrupt system. It's not the Guyanese corrupt system that did it to her. And yet she's in America, so you would assume that she's done nothing wrong. No, she is not. She's talking about the U.S. Don't worry, Juan Lyon. I'm going to have you call me up here in just a few moments. Don't worry. I'm going to have you call you up in a few moments. We'll go ahead and get you on up here. Oh, boy, you see that? Now, it says down here in her post, she also quoted Abraham Lincoln. What? You can fool some of the people all the time, and all the people some of the time, but you cannot fool all of the people all the time. Inspiring. I don't like to see anybody get hemmed up like that necessarily. So I don't like to see that kind of thing. But when you tell me that they just grabbing black folk, I'm like, wait a minute. I need some context here. I need some context in the chat room there. Dragon Love. I'm so glad you said that there. Let me go ahead and get the Zoom fired up here. Since we have some folks tonight, they are very unhappy with what we're talking about. They're very unhappy with what we're saying. I think this needs to have a deeper discussion about this. So I'm very glad you said that. So Juan Lyon and old Dragon Face, whatever it is, Dragon Love, let's go ahead and get you all up here on Zoom for us. Let's go ahead and get you up here on Zoom for us here, since very clearly you have a lot to say. You have a lot to say and you would like to speak about that. You're very, very triggered. I understand that. So let's not leave you in the chat room where nobody can hear you. Let's not do that. Let's go ahead and give you a front row seat. Let's go ahead and give you the front row seat. Let's go ahead and give you the front row seat. So there is the Zoom link. Let me go ahead and pin that to the top of the chat room there. Let me go ahead and pin that to the top of the chat room there. let's go ahead and do that real quick. So, Juan Lion and Dragon Love, let's go ahead and get y'all on up here. There's the link. So, of course, certainly if you have any convictions about what you're saying, certainly you would not destroy all of your credibility whatsoever by running from your own words. You certainly wouldn't do that because you have to represent those folks now. Now you have to represent them. Certainly you're not about to destroy their credibility along with yours by saying something like that, and then you can't even defend it, by the way. So, by the way, you certainly wouldn't do something like that now, would you? Hint, hint. Hint, hint. All right, so they open up the article here. Black woman activist detained by ICE. Because that's what you told us here. Well, why don't we go ahead and take a deeper look into this and see exactly how it unfolded. Melly Mel. Not our Melly Mel. This is a different Melly. Copyright infringement, trademark infringement. I don't know. Now, Dragon Love, you can't comment in the chat room. Everything you have to say, you can say it on Zoom. You have 2 minutes. You're not in the chat room anymore. You are only allowed to respond on Zoom. After you've responded on Zoom, then you will have your chat room privileges restored. You have 2 minutes or permanent vacation. So, you have 2 minutes. No, you don't talk in the chat room. Everything you got to say, there's a Zoom link. So, that's the one you use. You have been moved to the front of the line. How in the world can we make things any more fair for you? You don't have to sit in the chat room with people while we've moved you to the front of the line. You get to talk one-on-one with the host, and everyone else can hear you as much as they can hear me. So we need to go ahead and bring you forward so you can address everyone and explain to them the aspects of this that they don't see and they don't understand. So please understand, are you the representative of your cause or are you the representative of the cowards? Please understand, people have sympathy when you can articulate a cause. No one has sympathy for cowardice. Please understand that. Some of you are proponents of coward culture. Just understand, you're not going to get a whole lot of friends that way. So I would recommend that even if you have to put on your girlfriend's thong, I would recommend you find some manhood or masculinity about you. Not a good look. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the article here itself from newsroom.gy. By the way, this has also been shown on other websites as well. Melly Mel granted $7,500 bail after 2-week detention by ICE over visa overstay. What? Oh! So they didn't just go around and grab her because they were bored. Why, she's overstayed her visa. Which means by definition, she knows she did. Well, let's go dig into the details. Because she might have thought she was doing something slick. Let's go ahead and go into the details. Says here that social media activist, okay, because today you're an activist if you put out a tweet. No, Melissa Atwell Holder, known as Melly Mel, has been granted bail following her arrest by U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement 2 weeks ago. Atwell Holder, who appeared before Judge Mwangi Francis for a master hearing on Friday, secured a bond in the sum of $7,500 and will be released from detention once the bond is posted. Melly Mel, who appeared in court wearing a brown jumpsuit and holding a book, was visibly shaking her head throughout the proceedings. Her attorney, Joyce Booth, addressed the court, clarifying that Atwell Holder's case was solely an immigration matter related to her overstaying in the United States and not connected to her political activism. Damn! Let me say this one more time. Her attorney, Joyce Booth, addressed the court, clarifying that Atwell Holder's case was solely an immigration matter related to her overstaying in the United States and not connected to her political activism. That's her attorney who says it. Somebody in the chat room said better call Saul.
Damn!
Melly Mel. According to Booth, Atwell Holder, now listen to this part now, Atwell Holder entered the U.S. in 2022 and later married U.S. citizen Paul Holder in 2023. The couple has been living together in Brooklyn, New York.
Auntie, chill!
Of course. They've been living together in Brooklyn, New York for the past 2 years. Booth further stated that her client has no criminal history, is not considered a threat, and is not a flight risk, except from the country of Guyana. Except from there. She's a flight risk from Guyana. She fled fast as she could. Quote, "This is a regular case of overstaying," Booth stated, requesting that a reasonable bond be set. Atwell Holder's background checks revealed no criminal history, the department told the court, supporting Booth's claims. The 38-year-old activist entered the U.S. on a visa and has been awaiting approval for a pending adjustment of status with U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services since 2023. She's 38 years old. Don't be surprised if she tries to get the anchor baby here at the last minute. 38 years old, entered the U.S. on a visa and has been awaiting approval for a pending adjustment of status with U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services since 2023. Atwell Holder's I-130 petition is approved, and the I-485 adjustment of status application is still pending. So basically, she decided to wait in the U.S. while that was all going through. So we're waiting on that. Atwell Holder's situation raised questions from the judge due to her marriage to a U.S. citizen, which might typically make her eligible for a waiver in such cases. Folks, do you hear what that's saying? That doesn't say that once you get married, the situation goes away. That's the part that the Chicago Defender and Michael Imhotep and everybody else there is not understanding. Just if you commit the offense, getting married does not retroactively nullify the offense, is what they're saying. So you're seeing them basically go hard line on immigration law and say, no, we're not going to have any exceptions. If you infringe it, understand that there will at least be inconvenience, if not consequences. There will be inconvenience. So what it's saying is that she thought she was slick. She thought she was slick. Let me see if I can hang out in the U.S. Let me get married. There's some dude who's willing to let her go ahead and get married and figure, well, that will make all of that go away. Yeah, I know I violated the law. I know I did that. Let me go, hey, fella, I need you to marry me. Right before they get divorced next year. I need you to marry me so I can get off paper and get this cleaned up. So she violated the law first and then said, ooh, let me get married. Then people coming for me. Well, they came for her anyway. And they say, here, she's holding up this marriage certificate. They're like, yeah, put that to the side right quick. Put your hands around here. So it says here, like I say, she decided that she was going to do that. They brought that up, the fact that getting married might typically make her eligible for a waiver. It doesn't say getting married gives you a waiver. Well, if you get married, you might be eligible for a waiver. That means that they recognize you made the offense. We might waive the punishment for the offense. Getting married isn't how you resolve the offense. Getting your paperwork right is how you resolve the offense. But she said, well, we under immigrant law here, back home, we just do it however we do it. The rules are whatever you want the rules to be. We do it however, we get it how we live back there. And now she's come to bring us Get It How You Live. Despite the circumstances, Booth maintains that the case should be treated as a standard immigration issue rather than something more complex. Quote, "From my end, this is a regular case of overstaying with no other reason." The bond hearing concluded with the decision to set the bond at $7,500 US. Once the bond is posted, Atwell Holder will be released from the Richwood Correctional Center in Monroe, Louisiana, where she has been held since her arrest. All right, let's go ahead and get to the reason why we're here tonight. Michael, you need your ass whooped. This is ridiculous. Michael needs to be spanked. Michael might like that, but Michael, dude, you know damn well. Now, if this is how far you got to go, if this is how far you have to go with it, if this is how far you have to extend yourself, Michael, if this is how far you have to stretch, that you couldn't just sit up here and make a standard case. You couldn't just make a standard case. What in the world are you talking about here? What are you doing? You see, Michael, if you have a real argument, then why don't you make a real argument? Oh, you don't actually have anything, so let's see if we can resort to tether tactics. We'll just lie our way through life. Michael has sunken to the low of just, man, screw it. Let's just lie our way through life. This is where they at. This is where they are now. If you're gonna make an argument against Trump and his white supremacist regime, you need to make a factual one. Don't try to make a misleading one. Don't say that it affects people it actually doesn't affect. Let's be very clear. The reason that we're here today is because there's a whole bunch of folk from her background and her lineage who support Trump and Republicans and anti-black legislation, attitudes, laws, every damn thing else. Now, the only time they get motivated is when you specifically target their lineage. So, as far as those of us who are the native here and the foundational here, these folks have been sitting up here assisting and collaborating with everybody against us. Now, all of a sudden, Michael Imhotep wants it to be one big black mob? Hey, Michael, you were supposed to be calling them out back when they were sitting up here distinguishing themselves. And that was the reason I showed you all the other articles. I showed you those other articles to say that, by the way, hey, Michael, we can't hear you trying to tell us that this is a black issue because look at all the only folk talking about she black is you, dummy. You're the only one talking about she black. When I go and take a look at the Caribbean press and the Caribbean newspapers and the Caribbean news, well, they don't call her black. So who is it you're trying to talk to and trying to inflame by claiming that she's black? Is she saying that the issue is that she's black? The only person raising the word black, Mikey, is you. So you're not talking to her or her people because they're not making a black argument. So who are you trying to sell this to? Oh, of course, you're trying to sell this to the freedmen. You're trying to sell this to us. You're trying to sell us, you, the coward who's never spoken against them and their anti-foundational attitudes and behavior. You, the coward Michael Imhotep, and the rest of the clowns over there at Bowling Ball Martins, crap show. You all never said a word about this before now. Y'all supposed to be taking them on the carpet years ago. You sat silent. Now you think you're gonna hoodwink us? Now all of a sudden we gonna get ultra motivated. Hey, y'all need to get up and come help these folks over here. Well, why, Michael? Because we black. We black, Michael? No, according to her, she Guyanese. She's looking for refuge among the people who never ran, but she's running over here to talk about how great it is to be Guyanese, not how great it is to be black. So there's a reason why clown ass niggas, did he say niggas? I damn sure did.
And deal with it, nigga.
There's a reason that clown ass niggas like Michael Imhotep don't have any standing among the people anymore. There's a reason for that. There's a reason that he has no more standing, because everybody sees what you're doing now. Even if he did have a higher IQ and a lower level of angst, everybody sees what you're doing. You're not an effective operative or spokesperson for it. You're not. And amateur hour stunts like this is the reason why. This was a complete amateur hour bum class rookie mistake. The environment has changed, Michael. Folks are too wise to the game. They're looking for the words, Michael. You can't mislead people no more. You see, you've been sitting around Roland Martin for so long, and this is a hell of a... You know what it is? The folks who hang out over there in the old dead black media, it's like a bunch of niggas making a mixtape. It's like a bunch... They don't even have a record deal. It's a bunch of dudes hanging out in somebody's back room trying to get their mixtape together. And like Roland's put out a couple of mixtapes locally. And there's Michael Imhotep begging Roland for a feature, not on an album, but on the mixtape. Michael has been begging to be a feature on Roland's mixtape for so damn... That's all they have over there is a bunch of folk sitting up here begging to be a feature on the mixtape. DJ Bumass and the Dusty Crew. That's what they got going on over there. That's what it's like. It's not like you have a bunch of smart, on point people. That's not what it is. And he actually thought that he was hitting on something by making up a lie and misleading like this. Why don't you just say it the way it is? There's a reason that they couldn't afford to say it the way it is. They are conceding that they have lost the argument. That people are no longer simply saying, well, we all black like that. That's what he's conceding. Folks are not just saying we all black. People are checking the paperwork. People are checking the paperwork. People are looking at the documentation. People are saying who goes there, where you from, what you claiming. They're saying that before they're going to do anything else. They're saying that. That's the problem that he's running into. So they had to state it this way for the purposes of attempting to smuggle in support by misleading you with the headlines. And that's why I went to the Chicago Defender, because this trash rag, you can see the title, and then when you start reading the story, you'll notice that they deliberately refused to use the word immigrant or immigration till they got to the third paragraph. Now, this is deep, deep, deep yellow journalism and deception. This is deep deception. This is deliberate, that they didn't use the word immigrant or Guyanese anywhere up here. Big black letters, black woman, detained by ICE, and then buried in the middle of the story, by the way, this Guyanese illegal, we need you all to come and stand up and stomp for a Guyanese illegal. Why didn't you mention that in the headline so that we all could have got that out the way early? Oh, they didn't say it in the headline because you never would have kept going. They are conceding that the national narrative has changed. They no longer get the sympathy level that they were once accustomed to. This isn't Jason Black saying it. This is them conceding it. They're the ones conceding that they have to use this blatant deceptive language and this blatant deceptive construction of an article because they do not think they can get your genuine support if they come straight up the middle and say exactly who and what it is. That's what they're letting you know now. Things are getting thin. Things are getting thin. Things are getting thin and things are getting weak. It's absolutely getting weak. They're missing the old days when they used to be able to just put out some lies and everybody just said, "We black," and then they start marching. That tells you that Michael Imhotep is still stuck back in the damn Reverend Ike days. We black and we supposed to all start marching. We're not supposed to ask any questions. We're not supposed to do any scrutiny. We're not supposed to have any critical thought. They said, "Black, you get up and move." Although, meanwhile, over here among her people, Caribbean Diaspora News, meanwhile, among her people, well, what do you know? Radically different take on things. They don't use the word black anywhere at all. Nowhere. They don't use that word, period. None. Just thought that I would point that out. By the way, if this was really where they was coming from and really what they felt, why are they not saying it? Why didn't they just keep it 100 and say it straight up the middle? When you take a look at her people and her press where she's from, they made sure to identify her as Guyanese. Now that's the way they see her. And the point is, why we're not falling for bullcrap artists like Michael Imhotep and rolling the bowling ball anymore, is because this is the game they've been playing. When they stand in front of us, it's black brother, black brother, we black brother, black brother, we black. When they get among themselves, you know we Guyanese, you know we Sudanese, you know we Ethiopian, you know we Nigerian, you know we Kenyan, you know we Ethiopian. Now that's what happens when they're amongst themselves. So if this black talk was genuine, why is it that when you're among yourselves, you don't talk about being black? If you really see yourselves as victims of white supremacy and racism, why is it that among yourselves, white supremacy isn't the subject of conversation? Shouldn't there be a discussion about white supremacy among your group, independent and separate from us? And yet the only time you talk about racism is when white supremacy has taken a great, big, huge, juicy, dripping bite out your ass. Then all of a sudden there's racism, there's white supremacy, we need help. Yeah, so before they started beating you down, wasn't no white supremacy. Now you need help. All of a sudden, you know we black. We weren't black before you needed help. See, we were looking for black consciousness. Notice it says Caribbean Diaspora News. That is breaking down to the point that they're not even saying African diaspora. The boat let us off in different places. We might have got let off in different places, but we was all on the same boat. Tell that lie to them people over there. They're making it very clear they rocking with the boat. They're rocking with where they got off the boat at. They are not talking about where the boat picked them up from. They rocking about where the boat dropped them off at. But when they come to us, all of a sudden they want to sell us on where the boat picked them up from. And we're sitting up here reminding everybody, by the way, you know they picked us up in the same plane. No. We are not like that. We are different. I'm like, you know what? Okay, we're not going to argue with you. Keep that energy. Now, if you bring your happy ass over here and your paperwork ain't straight and you got that screwed up, stupid attitude, please be aware you are in a system of white supremacy and it's going to assert itself, and do not think that you can pull the black card and rally the troops when you do that. The time to rally the troops is before they come running up on you, not after. It is before. When you among your people, you are supposed to be shutting them up and tell them you are off code, identifying as Guyanese. You are off code. We are black first, and that's it. Shouldn't require the new black media to say anything. You should be policing that, and that should be a fundamental transformation in the structure of your culture. But you see, when you trying to play this game where I identify with whatever is most convenient for me at the time I need it, well, you know, we don't really rock with you Negroes there in America. But if I need to make a few extra dollars or make some money here, you'll be my fallback position. See, this is how dirty and rotten the game is. You see, those of us who have laid the foundation here in North America, we became the fallback position because we didn't have another place to go. Now everybody else who's screwing up where they from, they're using us as their fallback position, yet they are not offering us a fallback position outside of the continental United States. Now, white men are falling back all over Guyana.
And deal with it.
White men got fallback positions, sexual positions, OnlyFans positions all over Kenya, all over Ethiopia, all over Nigeria, all over Chad, Niger, Liberia. The white men got fallback positions all over. The Asians got fallback positions all over, including South America, by the way. No, I ain't forgot about you guys. Including South America, including Brazil. The Black Passport Bros got run out the damn country. Shout out Austin Holloman. The white men are sitting down there chilling like a villain. Now, ain't that interesting? The white men who are the colonizers, they got a fallback position in them places. If things go bad, look, please remember, Nazi Germany's fallback position was South America. That was their fallback position. South America, arms wide open for the Nazis. Don't tell me about Brazil having the largest black population outside of Africa when you ain't got a fallback position in Brazil. You ain't got one. And they're not extending one to you either. Let's be very clear. Your relationship as a black American to Brazil is adversarial at best. It is adversarial at best. Every time we turn around, some black fella run his ass down into South America now. They getting robbed, they getting shot, they getting killed. You're not hearing about the white men getting run through like that. Oh, this is going to be the fallback position? No, it's his fallback position. That's his. Nobody's got a fallback position for you. We are their fallback position. For Brazil, we're their fallback position. Costa Rica, Guyana, we're their fallback position. The Caribbean, we're their fallback position. If things go bad for them where they from, they can fall back to us. And we're like, okay, if things go bad for us over here in America, where are we going to fall back to? Assata Shakur got to go to damn me Cuba. Because you know damn well if she went to the Caribbean or South America, them folks would have been flipped on her. Now let's call it what it is. You go to the Caribbean, go to South America, you go to Africa, them niggas down there would have been flipped on you. A white man taking a selfie on Instagram would have been enough to sell you out. Hey there, Chantel. How you doing there? Hey, I'll take a selfie with you there if you tell me where Melissa's hiding at. Oh, thank you there. I've always wanted to be on Snapchat. Yes, that whore is over back there. She is back down there. She is no good. She is no good. And you know damn well that's exactly what it would be. That's why you ain't trying that. You got to go somewhere where the law won't allow them to cooperate with the U.S. government because you can't trust your people. Now, the white men can hide out there for the rest of their lives. The white men can hide out in your country for the rest of your lives. But you can't do it. And then you come up here trying to undermine us. Oh, hell no, we're not lighting no fires. We're not protesting. We're not taking to the streets. Man, we ain't doing nothing. We're not reposting on Twitter. We ain't doing a damn thing. Let Michael Imhotep beg and beg like James Brown. Let Michael Imhotep beg like James Brown and Keith Sweat. Baby, help me out. Do the whole damn thing. Because that's as far as it's going to get. But as far as a mass uprising, nigga, please. No. We pass. We pass. By the way, where's the folks we said to call us up? I got an open line for them. All they got to do is hit the link, sit back, smile, and dial. If these were actually accurate positions, then they would be very easily able to simply call up, articulate it, and everybody's on board. If I have a wrong position, it should be very, very easy for them to articulate it and expose to everyone that Jason's on the wrong side of this. That should be pig-faced, simple, stupid to do. And they have every opportunity to do so. But you see, you can't refute what I said because you got to ask somebody, why is it that when we come in your circles, we don't see the word black anywhere? It's only when you come among us. So that means that you're using black as some political tool. You're black when convenient. So when you're among the foundation, you think that's a card you can use because you're wearing our skin. So we'll use it over there with you. And then the rest of the time, we're helping white supremacy and seeing what we can get for our people, depending on where you from. So if you're Sudanese or if you're Somalian, you're Guyanese, you're Ghanaian, you're Kenyan, you're Ethiopian, when you by yourselves, it's all about what you're going to do for your group. When you come among us, then we all got to work together. Okay, but you ain't got us all working together in your group. Now, that's what you don't have. And we just stopped playing along. We just stopped playing along. That's all. So that's why Michael Imhotep has had to resort to trash tactics. The Chicago Defender has had to resort to trash tactics, bait and switch, deceptive language, leaving out whole words that you really need to have a They're not even wanting to tell you who it is they're talking about in the headline. They're hoping that they can get you emotionally agitated first and then tell you the real second, and hopefully those feelings you first encountered will survive when you hear the rest of this. Unfortunately for them, I was watching. Unfortunately, I was watching. Unfortunately. And that's an issue for you. Because I was watching. I saw it when it happened. I saw it when it unfolded. And it's like, let me go ahead and get you on over here. Let's put this in its proper context. And here's what it really means, folks. Let's be very, very clear. They are still making the same mistakes they were making the whole time. They're making the same mistakes they were making the whole time. Let's be clear. They've told themselves that they're in like Flynn, that they running things. They're believing the Biden bullcrap and telling themselves that they don't have to correct their status with us. That's what they're saying. They don't have to correct anything with us. That they've got their own little group. They're the Democrats' pets. And that the Democrats will take care of saving them. But that they don't have any necessity to correct their status with us so they can get their paperwork and their culture cleaned up. That's what they're saying. They don't have to correct their culture. They don't have to correct their crooked, backstabbing ways. That the Democrats will run interference and eventually they'll be back in the catbird seat and sitting high. That's what they're saying. You know, the same mistake that Kamala Harris made. The idea that she was going to ignore us and that we would just have to roll with it anyway. Here's Michael Imhotep. We don't have to correct their situation. Well, they can ignore us, and then when time comes, okay, they're going to roll with it anyway. You've got the dumbest, most ignorant ass wannabe operatives you ever imagined. The most incompetent operative class known to man. You all are going to have to come with hat in hand. In some cases, bending the knee, because you're going to have to convince us that the backstabbing culture that you've been executing for the last 5 decades, that you are now prepared and willing to take issue with it. That's what you're going to have to convince us of, is that you are finally ready to take issue with the backstabbing culture that you come from and have created and have attempted to transport over here to us. And we're not interested in imbibing that. So now you got to convince us, which means that there needs to be a conversation with us. But you know what? If you don't want to, that's perfectly fine. Just understand. Don't think that you're going to get Trojan horse debunked double agents like Michael Imhotep to sit up here and bail you out. Because that's not going to work. It isn't. Michael Schemotep is not going to be able to lie his way through this and deceive people into supporting something that is not in our interest. Those days are over. You see, if Michael wanted to have a conversation about it, he could, but then again, Michael can't. Michael actually cannot have a conversation about it. He can't. Him and Roland can't have a conversation about it because we're going to start telling them, okay, before we can talk about what's happening today, we need to clean up all this dirty ass paperwork. You see, the reason why you're going to have an extremely difficult time getting their paperwork cleaned up is because the truth is they didn't come to be a part of a black diaspora. They came over here as a take for what they can get for themselves. And it's only when it's inconvenient that they start saying otherwise. Other than that, it's like, man, let me get what I'm going to get. However I'm going to get it. You cannot be among the people and move among the people until you demonstrated what you have sacrificed for. And the first thing that you will do is you will sacrifice all of this divisiveness that you have created and made. So when I go to your pages and your websites and your social media, and I don't see the word black, I see a bunch of foreign flags, but I don't see the word black. Now, there's where you lost us. And you're hoping that we're still part of the civil rights generation and holding on to some concept of pan-Africanism. And what they're now conceding is that pan-Africanism is dead. Damn! That is what they are now conceding, that they cannot appeal to a plea for pan-Africanism because they no longer have a pan-Africanistic culture to appeal to. And do not blame us. Do not blame the new black media. Do not blame the freedmen and the foundation. Do not blame us. We didn't kill it. We simply acknowledge that they who are coming over here, and many of them who are over there, leaching this poison into the well, we simply acknowledge that they killed it, and we were no longer interested in worshiping at a dead altar. They murdered it. We simply acknowledge, yep, they killed it. We're just not going to pretend that it's not dead. That's all. Oh, I'm going to scare some people tonight. Oh, this is going to worry some folks tonight. Oh, this is going to worry them. Honesty scares some people. Honesty frightens some people, y'all. Some folks are scared to death of brutal honesty. Oh, it's too much for them. It's too much. They can't take it. They don't want to hear you say that the business is bankrupt. They don't want to hear you say that the dog is dead. They don't want to hear you say that. They want you to tell them it's not really real. It's not over till it's over. Heifer, it's over. The fat lady is singing her big ass off. It's over. You're not going to sit up here and hoodwink us and gaslight us into pretending that it's not. No, it's over. It really is. It really is. You see, brutal honesty is something that people have formed an adversarial relationship with. I was the first person who told you all I prefer my white supremacists honest. I don't need no white supremacists sitting up to me talking no bull crap. You see, if I'm not my priority is not making friends and being friendly and invited to no damn cookouts. That's not my priority. So you see, when I'm in front of a white supremacist, I can allow him to be honest. I prefer you being honest. That's how I talked to Richard Spencer and Jared Taylor. I didn't ask them to be something that they weren't. Matter of fact, before I talked to them, I said the only thing I insist on is that you be what you are. I don't have any necessity of selective or deceptive editing. I'm not here to make you look, quote, worse than you are. All I gotta do is play your words. That'll be enough. I'll just play your words. That will be enough. And I'm willing to accept you exactly where you are. Most Negroes are looking for white acceptance, which means they look for white people to lie to them. So they'll be sitting in front of a blatant white supremacist, and they'll be okay as long as he lies. Remember back in 2020, you had a whole bunch of old niggas.
Auntie, chill.
Sitting up here telling all of us that it was okay that Biden was a liar because, well, they're all liars. I'm like, if they're all liars, then it doesn't matter which liar we vote for. Nope, you gotta vote for the Democrat liar. Because the Democrat liar is lying about liking you. The Republican liar is talking about your black ass. I'm like, okay, so one is an honest liar and the other one's a dishonest liar. And you're saying we should vote for the lying liar, not the honest liar? Yep. But they're both, he's lying about liking you. And I like that lie. I've never been afflicted with such a disease. So I'm not offended or worried when a white supremacist is being white supremacist and is being honest about it. That doesn't offend me. Now, if he thinks that he is going to move outside of his territory there, that's when he's going to find himself in difficulty. But as far as him expressing his honest position, why would you want somebody to look you in the face and lie to you? Don't you want to have a truth detector? But most folk, in the words of Jack Nicholson, cannot handle the truth. So you're way more comfortable with them sitting in your face lying to you. I ain't cut like that. I am not cut that way. I'm not cut to have people in my damn face lying about liking me, lying about being on my side, lying about supporting me. Hell no, I'd rather you come straight up the damn middle and it is what it is. I'm not going to give you any points or incentive for lying to me. If anything, I'm going to punish you worse, which is why we punish the Democrats, because you'd have been better off just being like the Republicans, calling it what it is, and standing on what you really are. Meanwhile, they were talking about they support us while they're passing around emails saying, by the way, if them niggas ask you for anything, don't make any specific promises. Don't give them anything. But when they show up, tell them how much you like black folk and you really support them and that you really feel their pain. But when they tell you to do something, tell them that you're not going to do anything specific. Now, that guy right there needs to be especially punished. I would have respected him more if he just said, man, I ain't doing a damn thing, you niggas. You can get in line with the rest of them. Okay, well, I guess at least he had the decency of telling the truth. I didn't say I'm going to support him, but okay, well, at least he didn't waste my time pretending that he was something he wasn't. Okay, he didn't waste my time. That doesn't mean that I do not oppose him. That doesn't mean I don't oppose him. That doesn't mean I'm going to support him. But, well, he's done me a favor by not lying to me. A bunch of other folk want folk lying to him. Well, you know, I mean, it's a bad situation right there. You know, we really like you, though. Damn that. Damn that. Let these folk be free to be honest about that. As a matter of fact, you insist on that. And what we're saying here is that everybody here who is not with us, we ain't going for the lying anymore. You gonna have to stand on 10 toes and be what you are. We're not asking nor demanding you to be next to us. You coming all the way over here for what we built. We're not going over there for what you built. You coming over here for us. Because you found a level of cohesion and organization that you could not get anywhere else. That's why you're here. If you were truly organized like that where you're from, you would do over there what we did over here and stand the government down. That's what we did over here. And you like, damn, them some effective people. Wish we were like that. Let me get on over there and get some what they got. Because they're effective. Yes, if you were effective like that, you'd be doing it where you're at. You wouldn't be over here spinning your wheels. You'd be over there being effective. Couldn't get it going? You're over here watching the effective people and saying, damn, it sure is nice to have that. But then you're like, but you know what would really work? If I join together with the white supremacists there, I can get something specifically for me because, you know, that's the culture where we come from. Yeah, when we say look out for each other, we mean look out for myself. And we stopped playing that damn game. Now, dumbasses like Michael Schemotep are still sitting over there trying to play that game. He's still playing that game as if there's somebody playing along with him. Like there's really somebody sitting there, ooh, you know, Trump gonna round up all the black folks. He gonna round up all, that's why he said black, like they're gonna round up all of us. I'm like, no. That's not what's happening. If it ever does start happening, we'll have a different response. But that is not what's occurring. So you really look like a duplicitous lying bastard when you have to resort to scumbag tactics like this. You have to lie that they're just rounding up black folk. No. That's not what occurred. Well, you wish it was. And here's the killing thing about it. You wish it was. Why? So that we should have voted for Kamala Harris and Jim Crow Joe Biden? Think about that for a few moments. Are you trying to convince us that the right thing to do would have been to support those two ice cream jackasses? That was the mistake we made. You see, these bought and paid for Democrat ass-kissing shills and puppets, they trying to get their way back into the big house. And by the way, it's real rough on them right now. It's real rough on them. Oh, Michael, it's tough on you right now. There's not really anybody to hand out a check to them right now. I need y'all to understand that the problem with having a political party in complete disarray, there ain't nobody to really pass the bag right now. Jason, what do you mean? What I mean is this. Remember previously, Jeff Bezos passed that $100 million bag to Van Jones, remember? Remember when Jeff Bezos threw the bag to Van Jones? See, those were the good old days when Donna Brazile and the Democrats could slip that bag under the table to Bowling Ball Martin and slip him the email and say, hey, Roland, come do our bidding. See, this is the part that nobody knew about, nobody was talking about. We always suspected it was going on. We said it was going on, and now they've admitted, yeah, that's exactly what was going on. So you see, the good old days were back when they could be useful and somebody would slide them a bag. Now, those are the days they were used to. Them was the good old days. Sit up here, kiss a little ass, talk a little trash. Somebody gonna come patch you up. Somebody gonna come get you right. There's somebody out there sliding a bag. There's somebody out there sliding a few dollars. So if you say what they're looking for and appeasing them, somebody gonna slide you a little change. You'll be able to float yourself and get that rent taken care of, and you can go ahead and make that payment on your 2003 Fiat 500. Damn! You can make this month's payment on your Fiat 500. See, it used to be you was able to do that. It used to be that you could do that. It used to be that the Michael Emoteps could do that. That there was somebody who could launder some money and somebody who had a little slush fund that they could throw a few kickbacks to you. That's what he used to be able to get. Right now, there's nobody in charge. Ain't nobody running it. So there's nobody you can really send the phone call to, especially with the Democrats having such a damaged brand right now. There's nothing to be gained by, in quote, investing in the Democrat brand. That was the crazy part. That's the crazy part. There's nobody to invest in the brand. So when you trying to sell them on the fact that it's a brand, it ain't gonna work. In the chat room, Black Lives Matters, you got 2 minutes to be on Zoom. Very glad you've weighed in. We'll give you 2 minutes to be on Zoom. You got 2 minutes to be on Zoom here. Very glad you're weighing in. Is it going to be yet another person is going to sit up here and humiliate them? Y'all, is this person here going to actually redeem their image, or are they going to sit up here and humiliate them even more? Got somebody trying to defend them here. Is this person finally going to step up to the bat and redeem their image, or is he going to continue their own self-clowning for the evening? Oh boy, stay tuned, sports fans. Stay tuned. Oh, it's going to be a rough ride, guys. It's going to be a rough ride. All right, let's go ahead and get over here on Zoom. We got Onan here on Zoom. What's on your mind, brother?
What's going on, Brother Jason? I just wanted to send a shout out to you and the rest of the black media that's out here exposing these frauds, exposing these tethers, claiming to speak for us like Byron Donalds or Farrah Lewis. I'm not sure if you ever heard of Farrah Lewis, but I think she's a politician from Brooklyn, but she's of Haitian descent, and I don't have anything against the Haitians, but if you have someone that is supposed to apparently be speaking on our behalf about reparations, they need to come from our lineage, which is foundation of Black American and not just general Black. Again, this is not a shot at Haitians or, people from the Caribbean, Africa, or wherever, but I'm just saying it's about us. We need somebody on the front lines who's going to represent our interests and put us first.
Well, here's the thing, Onan. Even then, I would not necessarily have an issue with that if they were dealing in good faith. I can talk about Julius Malema in South Africa. I can talk about the soldiers. I can talk about standing up for the Zulu and standing up against the Boer. I can speak about that without me trying to wedge myself in and say, let me see how I can get something for me.
All right.
Now, there's the difference. I can advocate for them without trying to make it some slick-ass bait and switch. Wait a minute now. Here we gonna do for us. I can prop them up and get them straight without trying no slime ball-ass tactic like that. That is advocating for somebody. So I wouldn't have an issue with them advocating for us if they would actually do that. When you attempt to co-opt something for us because you think you see a slick way that you can steal something for you, now that's where we have a problem. You cannot speak for us because you're not speaking for us. So I would have less of an issue with it if they actually would speak for us. But as you just articulated, the problem is they don't. We come here to talk about our issue, and then they say, oh, great, let me go ahead and hijack this. If we can stand up for South Africa and Julius Malema without trying to hijack that, you can speak for us without trying to hijack ours. Or better yet, this is why we stop you from talking for us.
Amen. Hey, listen, if it wasn't for you or Professor Black Truth or Tariq Nasheed, who was out there putting out the word, because I used to be a pan-Africanist. I still support, my African brothers and sisters throughout the diaspora. I don't have any problem with that in particular, but I think it's imperative, just like you have the Chinese speak for the Chinese, the Jews speak for the Jews, the Japanese, the Koreans, everybody speaks for one another. They understand their culture. They don't make any qualms about it. And I think we as FBAs and Black people in America in general just need to coalesce like that. But I'll land my plane there. I don't want to take up too much of your time. B1, my brother.
B1, brother, thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. We appreciate that. Like I say, you can speak for people without trying to hijack what they're doing. You can speak for them without trying to hijack what they're doing. That you can do honestly. Now, that's being an honest broker. Being a dishonest broker is, well, I see something I can take. Okay, we got to shut that down. We got to shut that down. This idea that we're here to benefit everybody else and they're just here to feast off of us and steal what you're doing and, oh, hey, here's something else we can take. No, that's where things went wrong. That's where things went wrong right there. I want to send a shout out to everyone, and I do mean everybody who has contributed to a nice program on PayPal, Super Chat, Venmo. Big shout out here to Miss Nancy King. Thank you very much for your support, sister. We appreciate that. Cyberdyne 100. Bruce Warren, thank you very much for your support here as well. Erwin Davis, we appreciate that. We're going to take a very brief commercial, non-commercial break. I got some folks here on Zoom. We're going to go ahead and get to them once we get done here. We'll be talking to you very shortly. This is the Black Channel.
When you visit MrBeTheTeacher.com, you can get a copy of his award-winning book, Guidelines for the Successful Student. While you're there, grab one of his newest tunes along with fun and educational lyric videos.
Never give up, don't worry, never give up, study. In order to
times 1 is 2, 2 times 2 is 4, 2 times 3 is 6.
2 times swap names, he, she, they, and we. Simplify the
divides as the father and guide. Money multiplies and shares of what they buy.
You can also acquire his tutoring services via varsitytutors.com or tutor.com. If you wish to speak to Steve Burgess directly, you can do so through MrB,
The Honey Badger and the Mongoose is a children's story for the family of how a honey badger and mongoose fight an evil alliance of venomous cobra snakes and hyenas that overhauls the balance of the savannah. The Big Five. The honey badger demands reparations. Will the Big Five give the honey badger reparations? Can the evil alliance of cobras and hyenas be stopped? The best new price for the hard and soft cover is at www.thehoneyBadgerandthemongoose.com. You can also find this book at Amazon, Audible, and Kindle.
Order yours today to experience all the benefits of Ash Kickin' Body Butter. With skin so smooth and soft, you'll thank us for it. Shop Ash Kickin' online. That's ASHKICKIN.com.
Hi, this is Brenda Starr, creator of Poetry with a Purpose and author of the book Pressed But Not Crushed. Pressed But Not Crushed is an anthology of political poems that address current and historical issues in American descendants of slave population and African American population. The book describes slaveries and its residuals, Jim Crow segregation, social depredation, and other relevant issues to American descendants of slaves and African Americans, including the current political climate that does not address our issues.
This is the Black Channel. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. Very glad to be with you all here this evening. In the chat room here, let me go ahead and get Oshkosh Josh. You need to give me a call up on Zoom. You have 2 minutes to be on Zoom. So, Oshkosh Josh, you have 2 minutes to be on Zoom. Looking forward here to speaking to you here. Please make sure he gives us a call up or permanent vacation. Let me go ahead and get Brother Elijah up here on Zoom. Brother Elijah, what's on your mind, brother?
Hey, good evening, big brother Jason. All right. Big brother, I gotta after listening to tonight's broadcast and when I compare it to your other broadcasts in the past, can I please offer you a different perspective?
Certainly.
It's not counter to what pardon me, I'm in the train station, so if you hear some rattling in the train, it's just passing by me.
No, your volume's fine. Your volume is fine.
Okay, thank you, sir. Brother, from your teachings in the past, and it's not just you, Professor Black Truth and Tariq, I offer the perspective, pan-Africanism never existed, because the roots of that really go back to the days of Brother Minister Malcolm, where he separated from the Nation of Islam, and he tried to go overseas and try to get a platform to use one of them African nations' platform to get on the UN, and it never happened. Next thing you know, he kept talking about it, and it was too late because he got assassinated, and then he did it. Unfortunately, right after that, that's when they had they passed the Immigration Act and everything like that. And Brother Minister Malcolm's words talking about our long lost brother, he didn't see what we see today, or what we saw the days in the past. He didn't know that it was just nothing but Sambo Central when foreigner Sambo Central. Okay.
Well, I mean, look, Pan-Africanism.
Please.
Pan-Africanism predates, Malcolm X and whatnot. It predates Marcus Garvey. Marcus Garvey was the person who most is credited at least as most popularizing it. But let's be very, very clear. We know that it predated Marcus Garvey, and we know that it predated it on our soil because Marcus Garvey didn't get it kicking off in Jamaica. It got kicked off here. What I'm saying is that he didn't come here and teach us Pan-Africanism. He found a people who were already receptive to it and already understood it. Back in Jamaica, they didn't accept it nor understand it. We know that because he left Jamaica to come here, and when he left here and went back to Jamaica, he had to leave there because Jamaica wasn't going to pick it up at all. So there is your proof that Pan-Africanism never took root in Jamaica, didn't originate in Jamaica, because otherwise, why is it that Marcus Garvey, the only place you can make a kickoff was here? Oh, because this is where it's from. This is where it took root. This is where the fertile soil was. So we know that it predated Garvey, and we know that the most fertile soil was here. So that cleans up the origins of Pan-Africanism. However, we were dealing with a different people at a different time.
Yes, sir.
So now the adherence to the ideology of Pan-Africanism has been weaponized because the part that didn't, you say that Pan-Africanism never existed. Well, you're making a very good point. Pan-Africanism did not exist in Africa.
Yes, sir.
There's the issue. So yeah, Pan-Africanism didn't actually exist in Africa. It was an ideal that we had created. But we were the only ones who actually understood what it was. And once we started making genuine contact with them, that's when we started seeing, oh, they're not on the same time we're on.
Yes, sir.
They're not on the same thing that we're on. We are invoking a concept, an African concept that even the Africans do not recognize nor adhere to.
Yes, sir.
And it's only been in the last couple of decades or the longest, but particularly the last decade in particular has really picked up steam. You can find me here on the Black Channel talking about it from the very beginning. I've talked about it from the very beginning. So in that respect, Pan-Africanism did exist. It just didn't exist in Africa.
Yes, sir.
There's the problem.
Yes, sir. But I wanted to add, just particularly with this sister, I don't know her, I'll give her the benefit of the doubt. She's innocent in her own right. But there's an overall scope. How could we go out there and put boots on the ground for her? And when you look at all these countries, all of them came up here. Where is, back to your teaching, where was that opening for us? Where is the place where we can go and run to? Not one of these countries, not one of them opened their doors and said, hey, look, y'all hook this up here in America. We need to have a equal exchange. Hey, here's some free citizenship for you Black Americans. Okay, all right, we can keep doing it like that. If you have a problem here in America, hey, you run to us, we'll keep you safe. Not one of them. They kept coming here, and as you said, they just all wanted to get what they can get for themselves. They were not in it for the team. And I also, and that goes.
Well, here's the issue with that, that the problem there is creating this assumption that that's something that is mutually desired.
Yes, sir.
There's never been an equal and equivalent exchange. That has never been the case. And we let a bunch of folks sit up here and tell us that it couldn't be the case. Oh, the government won't let us do that. The problem is we're looking at your Facebooks, we're looking at your Twitters, we're looking at your Instagrams. That's not the government talking crazy about us. That's the average citizen doing it. So we stopped allowing that little shell game to go on, and we just started calling it for what it is. But there's never been an equivalent exchange.
Yes, sir.
There's never been a fallback position for you somewhere else. There's never been citizenship because they do not want you as a citizen. Now, they'll bring white folk for it.
Right.
And what we have finally had to accept was that this was not just a fluke. There is actually a culture of disdain towards us.
Yes.
That the fact that we've been successful has created disdain. And
Yes,
so in order to feel better about their situation, it's actually taking on an envious mindset to it. And we just stop playing along with this. So it's that disdain portion that's got to be dealt with.
Yes, sir.
You cannot make alliances with people who have contempt and disdain for you. And you don't do yourself any favors by trying to pretend it's not there, thinking that they're going to grow out of it. That's not what's happening. They're not growing out of it. They're getting worse.
Yes,
So all we did was just say, okay, we're done pretending that there's an alliance that there actually isn't. If we could take to the streets for South Africa, if we could take to the streets for other folk, yeah, they can take the streets for us.
Yes, sir.
The only thing they take the streets for is carnival.
Yes, sir.
So we're just not playing along anymore. That's all. Now,
Yes, sir.
maybe in the future, if they actually adopt true pan-Africanism, maybe we can have a conversation then. Maybe we can.
sir.
Maybe we can. But just understand something. In any negotiation, you do not do yourself any favor pretending that the person you're talking to didn't say what they just said.
Yes, sir.
Or, well, they don't really mean it like that. Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
Yes, sir. Big brother, I'm gonna say this and then I'm gonna land my plane. You remember when I was going on my trips? Because it wasn't just Turkey. I was going to Guyana. I was going to Trinidad, and every time you had a broadcast, I was calling you. I'll never forget this. This was October 2023. Some older Guyanese brother, he's in his homeland, so I ain't gonna disrespect him or nothing like that. But he wants to come to America after doing all his years in Guyana, and he asked me a question. What's the first thing I need to do when I get to America? I said, the first thing you need to do, I told this brother straight up to his face, in his country, is the first thing you need to do is to thank the Black Americans there, and you need to appreciate them, and you are to never disrespect them when you get over there. That's what I told him there, because if it wasn't for the Black Americans opening a lane for you to come over there, you wouldn't be coming over there. Because ask the white people, like your history, like you taught us, going back to the days of Woodrow Wilson, they absolutely did not want any Black immigrants coming from any other place. And I just got one question, and I'm gonna land. When did the government supercharge the Black immigrant fiasco? Was it during the Jimmy Carter years or the Gerald Ford years? And that's my question. I'm going to land there.
Well, the first part of it was the legislative portion of it. The reason why 69 was so important was because that was a diametric change from what had previously been allowed and was occurring. So that's the legislative part of it. But if you take a look at the math of it, 1969 to 1980, that's only 11 years. So from 1969 to Ronald Reagan, that's only 11 years. So please remember, in reality, Ronald Reagan was the person most responsible for the biggest influx of illegals and immigrants into America until Joe Biden. In reality. So when you think about it for a few moments, there was a reason why that was happening. And what we're finding out now is when you take a look at the people that they actually allowed over, we start realizing that we'll be damned, for decades now, they've had this process of vetting people.
Yes, sir.
And they were telling you it's just based on need or skill sets or whatever. And then we started looking into it and realizing, wait a minute, they're prioritizing coons and bootlicks and ass kissers. They're prioritizing that. So the few people who would be down for the cause, they made sure you can't get here.
Right.
They're going back and making sure, wait a minute, is anybody, has he been working with, has he been talking to people over here? Oh, you're a troublemaker. Have you been speaking to any Black activists over? You're a trouble. What's your reading material? Let me make, right now, Donald Trump, he's been deporting some folks who, they're Palestinian activists. But do you realize why they're deporting them? because they were asked about certain groups, certain affiliations. Folk, have you given money to somebody or something like that? How is it that Donald Trump and them are coming back all these years later and saying, oh, by the way, you were a member of this club in college? That's what they're getting them for. You're a member of this club. Wow. You gave money to this group here. You were working with this group that knows this one over there. So that's what they're doing. Well, if what I'm saying to you is that's the level of detail and information that they have on the people they're allowing over here.
Yes, sir.
So if you've been allowed in, they know you.
Yes, sir.
So if you're an African bedwench, they know you sniffing for white men, she can come over. They know it. And especially in the age of social media, they can go and see you cheesing and grinning big and looking like one of the kids and Feed the Children and Sally Struthers. They got that information. Those are the ones that they're grabbing and bringing over. Anybody with something different, you fall back. So they have a very clear, precise vetting process, and over the last 4 or 5 decades, that's been the filter they've been using.
Yes, sir.
What is your level of disdain and disrespect to the black folk who are here? If you sound like you're too chummy, you're a troublemaker. If you sound like you on your own thing and you're not going to link up with them, okay, come on over, we got you. And that's the way they've been doing it.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. It's not accidental. It's not accidental. This has been the routine. This has been the operation. This has been the program the entire time. They know who they're letting in. They know who you are. They know who your associates are. They speak to law enforcement back where you come from. They're talking to law enforcement back where you come from. That's one of the first things they check. They check with law enforcement back where you come from. Hey, do y'all know this person? Does he talk to folk who are anti-government, anti-white supremacy? The white supremacists make sure they got their hooks in every government that they can. South Africa is one of the worst offenders in that regard, but they're far from the only one. So the white supremacist governments around the world got their hooks in these countries around the world, and they want to know, do you have anybody there who is an activist against white supremacy? Any groups that are against white supremacy? And if they are, we need you to catalog them. Or else you won't get any of our USAID and foreign aid. Damn! Jason, how can you lying, Jason? They can't make them do that. You want to bet? In Trinidad and Tobago, in the Dominican Republic, in Haiti? Hey, if you want this $10 million, this $40 million, it comes with a couple strings attached. Don't worry, it's not nothing you shouldn't already be doing. We just need the police to make sure that if you got any dissidents, any troublemakers, any malcontents, people who have a problem with your government working with us, the U.S. government, the British government, NATO, Western alliances, if anybody is talking about colonization, if you have any citizens talking about colonizers, you need to document that. If there are any groups talking about colonizers, you need to document that. That'll be a condition before we can send this foreign aid package to you. Don't know if we can get this foreign aid package to you unless you can convince us that you're taking proper security measures. Anybody who might be a security threat, might be a troublemaker. Oh, you documented them? Okay, look, we're going to get that 20 mil coming to you. We're going to get that 20 mil coming to you. We're going to get that coming to you. Okay, look at this. Let's take a look at this list right here. Oh, he listens to the Black Channel. Okay, all right, troublemaker right there. Oh, he wants a visa? Okay, that nigga should have got a MasterCard to Discover. Ain't no visa for you. You ain't gonna get an American Express traveler's check. Ain't gonna happen for you neither. Oh, look, she bedwenching. She likes Zac Efron. Oh, man. She likes Zac Efron. Oh, great. She likes Brad Pitt. All right. Yes, sir. Let me get this. All right, visa stamped. There you go. All right. She got all the right things right here. She looks like a good candidate. Check over here. Look at her Instagram. Yeah, buddy. That's right. It's not accidental, people. You just think it's accidental. You think it's like you filling out, people, you're documented around the world, man. You're not anonymous filling this stuff out. They know who you are overseas. They know where you are. This is standard operating procedure for governments around the world now. This is standard operating procedure around the world. Around the world. Anywhere and everywhere you are, there's somebody with some paperwork they can call. All right, we got OGK Network here on Zoom. What's on your mind, brother?
What's going on, brother Jason? I wasn't surprised because I saw that article, and when they said black woman, I kind of knew, okay, wait a minute. I think it might be more to the story, and I'm glad you're covering it, and you ought to prove me right, because it's so easy for them to go ahead and get them and trick us, because understand, people that come from Jamaica, Guyana, they were colonized by the British. So they kind of have our names. They have Jones, Adams, Williams. So you can easily, play that game of trying to throw that in there. Oh, they're a black woman like you. No, they may have the names like us, but they come from foreign areas. You know what I'm saying? So I knew it was a trick. But I got a question. For you. Do you think that the Caribbean and the African nations, do you think that they'll ever truly be able to take hold in true pan-Africanism?
First, you would have to interest them in it. And the pan-Africanism was simply a euphemism for black in a world being assaulted and dominated by white supremacy. Well, they've made it very clear to you that they are hostile to that concept. And the reason they're hostile to it is because whiteness gives opportunities, and they do not want to distance or separate themselves or rule themselves out from that. So all it's cost them is this concept of blackness, which they didn't really have rooted in very deep to begin with. So they have been very, very eager to discard it. That's been the problem. So do they need it? Well, it certainly would be helpful, but they think they found a cheat code is what they think they've done. They think they found a cheat code, and the cheat code is simply the old method, kissing ass. And as long as they think that's viable, they're going to keep trying to do that. Now, it hasn't paid off dividends. It's only made matters exponentially worse. But the real problem with their cultures is the thing that I've been talking about now for years. This is what has to be dealt with. These folks come from backstabbing cultures. And that's a rough term for a lot of them to hear, but when they really get down to it, you gotta call it for what it is. You see, we don't have a black national government. We got some black cities, but that is not a national government. You don't make the laws of the land in Atlanta or Detroit or whatever. You don't make the laws of the land there. The laws of the land are made by a black government in Trinidad and Tobago and Jamaica and Haiti and Dominican Republic, and you get the idea. Well, so why is it that you're not the most empowered people on earth when there is no white supremacist there calling the shots? Oh, but they are calling the shots. Well, if they are, then you brought them there. If they are, you brought them there. So what is it about your culture that you're so interested in that? The other thing is, since you have an all-black government, that means the only folk you're stabbing in the back are each other. And that's become how you get by. That has become accepted. I would say it's like the Klingons, but it's more like the Ferengi from Star Trek Next Generation. It's more like that. That it's just become standard that scamming and backstabbing and undermining and deceiving and conning, that's become a standard part of the culture, and everybody makes an excuse for doing so. Want me to get deep in it? I'm going to get deep in it here for a minute. I'm going to get deep in it here for a minute here. Some folks not going to like it very much, but we're going to go ahead and do that. When you take a look at the Hutus and the Tutsis there in Rwanda, please understand what happened there, and let me show you some parallels, folks. So you have this civil conflict. You have this civil conflict there. Folks are getting killed by the damn neighbors. By the thousands and thousands.
Are you talking about the one in the 90s or the one that's happening now?
In the 90s.
Okay.
And folks are sitting up here getting killed by their neighbors. Made whole movies and documentaries about it. And when it was over, what did you keep hearing from people? The person who killed my brother, he right across the street. It was my neighbor who raped my daughter. Yeah, he's right over there. He's right over there. That is a common thing that you heard over and over and over and over again and still hear now. That the person who killed your brother, killed your mama, raped your kids, oh, he's right over there. South Africa. Oh, they didn't want me to go there. Here we go. Oh, you thought that was an isolated incident? South Africa. The so-called Truth and Reconciliation Commission. Where you're literally sitting there in court saying that this is the white man who killed my brothers, killed my sister, raped my dog. Him right there. Okay, we're going to have a sing-along and forgive. What? Brother, that's backstabbing. When you're sitting next to people who have wronged you and there is no demand for justice for them to be punished, well, that's a backstab. When you accept that as the norm, that means you have now adopted a backstabbing culture. That it is now accepted that this is how we deal with each other, is lying, cheating, conning, killing, backstabbing. You are not required to adopt or adhere to a code with each other. Now, I just named for you Rwanda, South Africa, somebody else in there says Sudan. There's a rabbit hole if any of you want to go down that one. Want me to go further? Jason, don't do this. You're breaking my damn heart. No, nigga, we off in it.
Damn.
Nigeria, brother, we naming whole nations. Do you see? Take a look at how long this damn list is going. They don't want me to do this. Somebody in there said Liberia. We ain't got time to go into Liberia tonight. Don't bring up Liberia. We ain't got time for Liberia tonight. We don't have time to go off into Charles Taylor. We can't do that tonight. Why are you causing trouble, Harold George? Why are you in my chat room causing trouble? I tried to keep the list short. You sitting up here taking us all kinds of directions. Gonna have to put sanctions on Harold George. I'm in Nigeria. Brother, the Igbo, the Yoruba, the Husafalani, the Delta. I've been telling y'all for years, go take a look at social media. Go take a look at it. You talking about one nation and whatnot, brother. They are still as tribal as they can damn well be. To the point that they are promoting and advising, really. We're beyond condoning that it's okay for the government to mess them folk up over there. You're not a member of the Igbo. It's okay for the government to mess you over and screw you over. That's all right. Oh, you're not a member of Yoruba. It's okay for us to mess you over. Don't believe me? Nobody in here. You can go to Twitter right now and look it up for yourselves. I still follow some of the accounts that are still doing that to this day. As a matter of fact, you might be able to look at my following accounts and see it. They're still doing that to this day. Now, if I'm making all this up, how the hell is it I can show it? And by the way, you all already know I'm telling the truth about it. Backstabbing has been a part of the culture and is a part of the culture, a robust part of the culture right now. Now, that would need to be cleaned up before you could do anything else. Who you gonna make a deal with when the culture says it's okay to lie to you and backstab you? Who you gonna make a deal with, brother? Who you gonna sell pan-Africanism to when it's part of the culture that it's perfectly acceptable to lie and cheat and steal like Eddie Guerrero and backstab? Who are you proselytizing? When that's the culture you're walking into, and I'm showing you nation after nation that has not resolved that. You don't have any kinfolk. You don't have any brothers who backstab you. That's not your brother. You don't have any sisters that are eager to sell you out. That's not your sister. You don't have any mothers or fathers who can't wait to join with the white supremacists against you or to take what you got or to sell out from up under you. You don't have a mother or father who does that. So until you get that ingrained in the code, brother, what pan-Africanism, that's the least of your worries.
So basically you're saying the tribal allegiances that they have, something has to be done with that in order for them to even push into a more cohesive collective of blackness. They can't do it when they don't see each other as black. They see each other as Igbo or you're Yoruba, but they don't see you as a common black person in their country.
That they do not, here's the issue, brother, that they do not see that they have a common obligation to each other. That's the missing element. When we said Pan-Africanism, that was just another way of saying our obligation to each other. I'm black and I'm proud. Our obligation to each other. We all we got. Our obligation to each other. That's all we were saying, and all of us understood that. Tell me the equivalent to that in any of these other cultures. I'll wait. Tell me the equivalent to it. We shall overcome. I can go down the list by any means necessary. I can go down the list. We were simply re-articulating that we were obligated to each other. You have no equivalent to that in any of these other places. Take a look at Haiti, Dominican Republic, Costa Rica. I can go down the list. There isn't a culture that you have a common obligation. Even, by the way, even saying no snitching. That is simply that is an observation of a common obligation. And we didn't create no snitching. Take a look at the Irish and the Italians. Tony Soprano literally said it. By the way, to anybody who wants to be stupid. So what you're articulating is a common obligation. The folks you're talking about, you can't find where that's actually a part of their culture of a common obligation. The best they can give you is carnival. Man, if you don't get the hell out of here. But the idea that you are obligated to other people and you owe this to the soil, that's the part that's missing. So you can name a tribe or you can name a nation. Does that nation have a code of conduct that states that they're obligated to each other? You're going over there assuming it does, because now you're assuming that you've got somebody who has a similar code and understanding that you do. And you talking to folks who are, if you have a nation of, 10 million people, you got 10 million free agents. I didn't say 10 million people with a different agenda. I said 10 million free agents, to the extent that, by the way, you cannot have a common definition of what black is. Brother, you going over there to talk about African. They like, what's Africa? You talking about pro-black. They're like, I ain't black. He's darker than you, talking about he's not black. You say white supremacy. He says, well, them folks, they got some bad thoughts. They just need to get their head straight. I mean, the problem with the racists is they haven't found Jesus. Brother, who we linking up with? Take a look at the understanding y'all trying to have. He knows the words you're using. He's saying that doesn't matter. It doesn't mean what you think it means. It doesn't have the significance you think it has. Yeah, I know what you mean by black, but you worry about that black thing too much. Now that's what you're going to slam into head first. You worry about that black thing too much. Right up until they get put in handcuffs, then they stop playing that bull crap. Brother, we ain't got the ability to go around and put everybody in damn handcuffs so they can get some act right. We don't have time for that. So you're going to have a hell of a time convincing them, but not the problem with them not accepting Pan-Africanism. It goes deeper than that. They have not accepted an obligation to each other. If they did, then when a white supremacist shows up, they would immediately respond in unison. That's not what happens because they have not yet accepted that they have an obligation to each other. And this is how white zaddy and Asian zaddy can come over there and start running things. That's why that happens.
Okay, well, that explains everything. Thank you, Jason. I land my plane.
Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. I mean, if you're going to fix these things, you're going to have to deal with the problem where it is. You got to deal with the root of it. Recognize that all these other things you're complaining about are actually symptomatic of something else. Please stop telling yourself that they don't really understand what it means. Don't sit up here and deceive yourself into thinking that they don't understand what it means. They know exactly what it means. They know exactly what it means. They know exactly what it means, and everything is about playing dumb. What we just said is that no, there will no longer be any black when convenient. There will not be any more black when convenient. We checking the paperwork. If you ain't already 10 toes down, that's it. You're not fooling us. See, when you start having in-depth conversations, that's when things go crazy. Everybody's pro-black when the white supremacists show up and put them in handcuffs. As soon as the man take them out of the handcuffs again, all of a sudden, well, forget. Well, can I go back to Starbucks? Can I get my coffee latte? Where's my Snapchat? That's what ends up happening. So it's very startling to people that we're not playing that game anymore. And the old black media is trying to convince people that that's still going on. No, it's not. No, it's not. We're not playing the same game. This idea that we're all sitting around and you're just going to be able to swing the word black around and everybody's going to snap to attention. Yeah, it's a startling wake-up call from Michael Schemotep and Rolling the Bowling Ball that they're realizing, that's not working. They now understand it doesn't work. Hey, Michael, if you wanted to fix that, you're going to have to sit them folks down and get them to get some act right, but you're not going to hoodwink us or gaslight us into jumping out the damn window. In the chat room, James Robinson needs to give me a call on Zoom. James Robinson in the chat room needs to give me a call on Zoom. Let's go ahead and get James Robinson up here on Zoom. This idea that you're going to rally us against Trump because, quote, Trump is after, quote, all of us. He's after all of us. But when we start talking about a black agenda, all of a sudden it's, wait a minute, I'm a member of my group. All of a sudden it's, I'm a member of my group. See, when we start waving the flag and waving the banner, that's when folks start talking dumb. This idea that we're your damn NPCs, we're your non-playable characters, but when you stamp your foot, we're all going to jump up and come running to the rescue. This has got to be very demoralizing to Michael and friends. That's not what's happening. Oh, this has got to be very demoralizing to him. See, y'all got to understand their ability to get the bag and to get paid is directly attributed to their ability to mobilize people. It's directly attributed to that. We have a special election here in Louisiana today, amendment referendum. They've been rolling the bowling ball and friends. Brother talking to Gary Chambers is not going to mobilize nothing. There's credibility that's been missing for a while and for a minute. You can't just jump up on a random Tuesday and say, all right, everybody hop to it. That's not the way that works. That's not the way that works. Everybody only wants to talk like they got some damn sense. When we show up, all of a sudden, they start talking about being black. And it's like, okay, but by the damn way, when we ran up on you, nobody was speaking about black. You were arguing with us. You were telling us why it didn't matter. Nobody yells black unity until they got their ass in a crack and white supremacy has its hands firmly around their throats. No, I don't know who she married. Yeah, actually, that fella that Miss Atwell married, I actually don't know who it is, so I'm not sure. Not really sure. Not sure who Paul Holder is, so maybe it's worth looking into, but not really sure. I do know one thing. I do know that the idea that we just gonna jump up and come running through and, hey, everybody, here we come and we black and black unity. If you thought that folks weren't listening to me over a decade ago, see how many black unity folk are backing these folk up. See how many black unity folk are backing them up. This where we at now. Where are the black unity folk to back them up? You don't just get to jump up on a random Tuesday and start yelling about black unity and we. You see, if that unity was there, we would be online and we would be drowning in it. Folks, if that so-called black unity was global like that, then when we go online, we would be drowning in it. We would be saturated in it. We wouldn't be able to move our heads. You literally couldn't turn your neck. You'd be flooded with it. We've been talking because it's not actually there. Nobody discusses, quote, black unity until they need something from us. Then all of a sudden, the real black folk are supposed to get up and do something. Nobody is stomping on black unity until the real black folk, they need something from the real black folk. Then they come yank out their black unity slogan. So it's become a slogan or a business card that they flap out. But every other day of the week and every other day of the year ain't nothing to it. They're not standing on nothing. Things happen and issues come up and ain't nobody saying nothing to us. We're out here on our own. Let me go ahead and get over here on Zoom. I've got Robert up here on Zoom. Robert, what's on your mind?
TBA, one of the greatest master teachers in the history of our lineage and our anchor man of the new black media. I just wanted to say that real quick. Hey, TBA, I wanted to run something across you real quick because, like I said, you one of our greatest master teachers, man, of our generation and of all time, for that matter. It seems to me, after listening to, you know, our great people in the new black media, that once I studied, like, well, not studied, but looked at people, our distant cousins throughout the diaspora, whether it was Europe, whether it was the Caribbean, and most specifically, TBA, over in the continent of Africa. It seems as if they completely aware of the yoke of the global white supremacy system. But for some reason, they look to what we have built as foundational Black Americans here in our country and almost feel as if white supremacy is more lenient or more easier to navigate or
Okay, they got him walking backwards in time.
But not understanding, no, it's not that white people in the system of white supremacy. Hello?
Okay, brother, you're going to have to make it quick here because your signal's gotten weak. But did you have a question?
Oh, yeah, basically what I was getting to was I just wanted to know why can't they see that we are the ones that changed our conditions in terms of the fight against white supremacy and not the other way around. It seems like they flee their countries and come here because they think white supremacy will be easier on them. But it's because of what we did against white supremacy since we've been here. Our fight against
Well, here's the thing. You've had various white colonizers all over Africa, all over South America, all over the Middle East. I mean, all over Central America, all over the Caribbean. You know, when you take a look at these places here, I mean, take a look at how Spain and what its influence on the whole continent of South America. I can go down the list. So them, the Portuguese, you know, we'll be here all day naming every part of Europe. These people have had contact with the white colonizers. What we have been deciphering and understanding is that their experience with these colonizers either was different from ours or what they took away from it was different from us. So this is why we keep making the distinction that when it comes to the Brits and Germans with slavery, you were just a piece of property and that was it. If they had kids, the kids go out there to the plantation and work. With the Spaniards, they were a little different. They kind of adopted you in the family as the little bastard kids and whatnot. So yeah, you were still less than them, but the manner in which they executed was different. This has led to confusion. When that kind of thing occurs, now they're confused, which of course is the goal. Now, all of them use the little mulatto kids as their foot soldiers on the dark folk. That was always consistent. But these other people have allowed themselves to be deceived and confused because that's a whole lot easier than accepting the actual reality. But when you go to the Dominican Republic and you get out the airport and you see the statues of the three white men, that tells you what the hell going on. That tells you what's happening. So if you keep acting as if that's not what it is, well, that's not them anymore doing it to you. That's you. That's you with cognitive dissonance. The reality is too brutal to accept. So let me just play along with everything else going on here. But you see that damn statue. Now, for us, it was different. When the Daughters of the Confederacy started erecting those statues at the beginning of the 20th century, we immediately started revolting against it and gotten a good many of them taken down at this point. That's radically different than what you see in these other places. We never allowed ourselves to be adopted as their bastard stepkids or the folk on the plantation. We never allowed that. Never. And these other folks are struggling with that because they got privileges in that system. The closer you were to whiteness, and I don't just mean skin tone, I also mean by affinity, ass kissing. The closer you were to whiteness, the more benefits you got. They are it's like a Pavlovian response now. Even though there's really not that many benefits to be received anymore, they're still operating with that reflexive response.
Wow.
That they're still, when they get triggered, they still operate as if they're still competing for a benefit that isn't even there anymore. But it's part of the culture that we compete for it. Improving the race, even though it never improved your status. Which is what you thought you were saying. When you said improve the race, what you really meant was improve my status. Oh, but that never happened. Now did it? But you're still competing to do the behavior. This is like a computer program for a machine that's running long after the people who built the machine have died. The machine is still running the program long after the people who created the machine have passed away.
Indoctrination is so deep, TBA. Like, man, what an expert analysis, man. We appreciate you, man, and what you bring to the table, man, what you bring to our lineage, man, and our people in this country, man. It's amazing, man. Keep up the great work, man. We're going to keep tuning in.
Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. I mean, when you think about it for a minute, that's actually literally what it is. That's literally what it is. The people who started this stuff decades ago, y'all, they've been gone. The folks who started this and carried it on and perpetuated it, they've been gone. Papa Doc and Baby Doc, they've been gone. But the people who grew up under it have passed it down. So the people who created the machine have been long dead, but the machine is still running the program even in their absence. There is no benefit to get other than the satisfaction of knowing that you are upholding the programming of the machine. And that's it. But there isn't any other benefit to be gotten. There's nothing else to be gotten. There's a reason for that, and they understand it. There's a reason for that, and they understand it. So when you go trying to sell these concepts that we have already accepted and that we trade in every day, please understand you're talking to folks who at best don't understand it the way you do, and at worst, they're hostile to it. It's in the culture to be so. You don't have an equivalent to the icons that we have here. We can talk about a Stokely Carmichael, a Malcolm X, an Elijah Muhammad, a Dr. King, a Fred Hampton. You don't have that in these other folks. Man, they don't have it. They can talk about one head of the state, but as far as somebody who they weren't elected, but they got mobilized and active, they don't have that. Somebody needs to ask why. All right, we got the Church of Black Power on the line. What's on your mind, brother?
Blessings to you, Jason. I truly appreciate you for taking my call. And I just wanted to call in real quick because you mentioned Pavlov's dog, and I've been making the same comparison about the tethers and how they basically been trained to be who they are today. So I kind of wanted to call in and ask you if you can touch on that just a little bit more for our family, if you don't mind.
Okay, which part in particular?
The Pavlovian dog.
Well, that's the whole point of slavery. Folks don't understand. There's a reason. When you take a look at European culture, for example, and white culture in particular here, you've done yourself a tremendous disadvantage if you don't study people like Adam Smith and Karl Marx. What I'm saying is that these are people who they didn't just espouse things like, quote, capitalism and free trade. When you read their books, they get into the psychology of it, why it is that human beings will adhere to this. It's not enough to just teach you about this concept. I also need to explain to you why it will be effective. What part of the human psyche will actually adhere to this? Otherwise, you're gonna give folks a very, very hard row to hoe. So when you take a look at these things from the Constitution of the United States, and when I talked about Alexander Stevens and the Cornerstone speech, he does the same thing. Mm-hmm. He doesn't just tell you this is what we're doing. He tells you why it's being done and why it will be widely accepted. At least he hopes so. So you start seeing that go down the line. So even when it comes to slavery, when it comes to hierarchy, mm-hmm. over and over again, you keep running into white men who go into the psychology of it mm-hmm. over and over again. So we can talk about Freud or Laban or Jung, and nation states have been based on those things. The mm-hmm. writings of Vladimir Lenin. They don't just talk about this is what we believe in. They talk about this is why it'll be adhered to. Pol Pot, Mao Tse-tung, the Little Red Book. Need I say more? There's a reason why these things have been done that way. Because they understood how it would change the human, that the goal wasn't simply the goal was not to enslave people, but to control them. Mm-hmm. Well, Jason, what exactly do you mean by control? To have a reliable response. Let me say that again. The goal is to engineer a reliable response. Mm-hmm. Well, Jason, why not? Why don't they just keep you in shackles? Shackles are expensive. Shackles can be defeated. Prisons are expensive. Prisons can be defeated. If we're going to go through the work of erecting shackles in a prison, the most cost-effective, efficient prison is the one around your mind. So if I can engineer and navigate a controllable, reliable response, that's the true sweet spot. I don't have to worry about a revolution from someone who sees themselves as a member of my family. He would never raise his hand against me any more than he would raise his hand against his mother.
Right.
So I don't need shackles on him. He sees himself as part of my family. I have no fear of that occurring. I've convinced him. And now nothing you say, Church of Black Power, is going to move him because we've engineered a reliable response.
Exactly.
If we can do this in an individual, if we can do this in a family, if we can do this in a group, we can do this across a nation. Which has been, if you take a look at the last 200 plus years of their writings, you see a steady stream of that. Mm-hmm. It is never enough to simply make a machination for an individual. It always circles back to how can you use this for nations of people? Now, that ain't accidental. Everywhere you go in European culture, there's an equivalent to that. That's not an accident. That's a culture. Mm-hmm. This is a global strategy. When you take a look at Japan and their anime and got blonde characters, the hallmark of Japanese anime is very large eyes. For a people with elliptical folds, and yet their artwork depicts themselves as exactly the opposite of the biological fact.
Absolutely.
Now, Jason, you lying. Am I lying? If you take a look at Japanese artwork. Damn. Oh, damn. Did I just debunk you? Show me Japanese feudal artwork that looks like their manga and their anime. Show it to me. Because I can show you their feudal artwork and show you their paintings of their emperors and their women and their geishas. Well, it don't look like manga and anime. There's nothing that looks like manga and anime in Japanese artwork until after 1950. Mm-hmm. Well, I'll be damned. Did something happen around 1950? Well, about 5 years earlier, actually, a whole lot happened. About 5 years earlier, a whole lot happened. Well, what do you know? People, there's a reason that these other programs would never have me on to debate this or argue with this. It's going to be a very short evening. They're going to bring on some dummy who don't know nothing. It's going to be a very short evening. Critical thinking skills are very, very clear and very, very necessary. But by the way, if anybody wants to sit there and tell you, oh, that's just what they came up with, some white supremacists will try to pass it off on you. Very simple test. By the way, why is it never appeared before you showed up? Mm-hmm. They got artwork going back hundreds of years. It looks nothing like what happened before you showed up. Now, if this is just their natural artwork, why is it nothing look like you before you showed up? Mm. They had a whole different thing. Show me the blonde people and the big-eyed people in Japanese artwork before 1950. Yikes. Well, I think I just found your Pavlovian response there too. I think I just found it there too.
Absolutely.
So we don't have to drop any more. Oh, y'all don't when we saying all this, right? And Jason, damn it, this is going to give y'all nightmares. You're going to have trouble getting to sleep. You're going to be fighting in your head, trying to argue with it. You're going to drive yourself insane. The migraines are going to get to your brain, trying to argue that it's not accurate. We don't have to drop any more atomic bombs on you.
Mm-hmm.
Why they desire to be one of us. Why would we drop bombs on you? That's unnecessary. While they're coloring their hair and redoing their eyes, while they want to be one of us. War is now unnecessary.
Right.
We've conquered the most important battlefield of all, the one between your ears. And oh yeah, one more thing, you will fight to the death. If anybody tries to tell you to stop doing it, you'll start arguing with them. The Japanese folk will be the biggest ones arguing with you about the legitimacy of their manga. They'll be the first ones to argue about that. They're still a little salty about Okinawa and the military bases. They're still a little salty about that. But when it comes to the culture, it's a whole different thing. To the point that now Japanese men's biggest complaint is that Japanese women have disrespect for Japanese men. What? Doesn't that sound familiar, by the way? Doesn't that sound familiar, brother? Now, don't that sound familiar?
Facts.
Now, you don't hear anybody saying that Asian women have disrespecting the problem with white men. When you go to Asia, when you go to the Middle East, when you go to Africa, ain't nobody talking about folk got a problem with the white men. And yet, well, I'll be damned. I can show you place after place where the men are complaining that the women have adopted a disdain for their own men, not the white men walking around here, just the native men here, just us.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think I just found another reliable response.
Jason,
brother, we would be any place they touch ground. We ain't got enough hours in the year for me to. If I made a miniseries, it'd have to be 365 chapters because it would take me about a year or two to go ahead and walk y'all through all of this. And I'm just giving you the cliff notes tonight, and not a single word I've said can be argued with. It is absolutely empirical, undeniable, irrefutable proof and truth, and everybody knows it. So yeah, that's what it is. If somebody in the chat room said the best, 5% of the global population, 99% impact. Better believe it.
It might be 720 chapters, to be honest with you.
We might have to spend some more. So, brother, that was the whole goal. They have been on a crusade now that has covered centuries of how do we manipulate and pacify the mind of man. That no matter who these people are we encounter, how do we plug them into the same system and get the same reliable response? Whether it is under monarchy, whether it is under mercantilism, whether it is under capitalism, whether it is under socialism. It doesn't matter what the so-called economic system is. As long as you have white supremacy, they don't care what the system is. Doesn't matter what you call the system, so long as this white supremacy is dominated and controlling the mind of man and your responses. You have book after book after book after book, year after year. It continues to this day. It continues to this day. I'm a fan. I'm about to say something's going to upset a lot of people here. I'm a fan of Robert Greene. I've read all of Robert Greene's work. I've read all of Robert Greene's work. Laws of Power, Seduction, Mastery. I've read all of Robert Greene's work. I think it's well worth anybody checking out. I certainly do. Robert Greene has studied Malcolm X. He studied MLK. He studied Huey Newton. He studied everybody. He certainly has. He wrote a book with 50 Cent, The 50th Law. Robert Greene has studied our people. I've read all of Robert Greene's work. Robert Greene's work is calibrated toward nations. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I throw that in there? By the way, couldn't help but notice, hey, this can be adopted and calibrated toward nations. When you read his books and the examples he gives, he's talking about heads of state, kings, presidents, generals. Well, this is something that can be directly applied toward nation states. Whole nations of people. Machiavelli's The Prince. Now, let me clear that part up right there. That's a little bit different. And Robert Greene has talked about that too, by the way, which he's talked about that too. It used to be that things like The Prince, the writings of Napoleon, Sun Tzu's Art of War, that was restricted to only the aristocracy. The common citizen could not be made aware of the strategy of Art of War or The Prince. That was only for the aristocracy. The Prince was literally written for who? The Prince. Hey, nigga, this for your eyes only. I don't give a damn how good the bedmaid is. Don't tell her this. Because, as the saying goes, desire makes paupers of kings and patience makes kings of paupers. And if she has enough patience and knows these rules, she might end up running things. And that's not why I wrote this book. This book is literally for your eyes only. There may be a small group of people in this room, but they already understand what's in here. I've condensed this in this book. This is for you. Take a look at all them people out there. Yeah, he slapped you across the back of the heads. This ain't for them. Did you hear me, boy? This is not for them. This is for you. Don't tell them any of this. This is not a mass market product. So that's what it always was, being able to utilize these things. And what was the Prince about? What did Machiavelli tell him? We really want to avoid armed conflict when we can. Yeah, you want to be a good fighter, we get it, but that's not actually the optimal way of dealing with things. It's much better to dominate people mentally and avoid a physical fight altogether, because once things get physical, you stand a chance of getting killed, and people tend to hold a grudge when you win a war. So we really prefer to avoid it. Now, that don't mean we ain't gonna get down, but that's the last resort. You don't resort to war, and physical conflict is how you resolve every issue. That's the last resort, because it's going to be the one with the most consequences. That's the last one. You need somebody to teach you that, because the average person, okay, if socking them in the eye wins, we're going to start with socking them in the eye. Machiavelli saying, no, don't do that. What do you teach them? Don't grab your men's, the folk who work for you, don't grab their women. Don't grab their women, don't grab their children. They're going to hold a grudge about that. They will forgive you for anything else until you grab their women and their children. Now they're going to hold a grudge. So you can raise taxes. You might be able to grab some land. Don't mess with their women and their children. These other folk out here are going to abuse their privileges. They're going to abuse their privileges. Remember the movie Braveheart. Don't do like him. The only thing that's going to result in is people uprising against you. A smart prince don't do this. Well, you didn't tell the people any of this. And you see, by me saying this to you, you recognize these tactics he was using. It's like, hey, he never did that. Yeah, but he dominated you just as much.
Right.
But he never told you that's what it was. So since he never told you what it was, you don't really have your arms around that this is a conscious effort against you. And I'm just saying those were from the annals of power of things that were not widespread to people. Now we got it widespread. Now you can just see what it is. We can actually show you that, by the way, for the last few hundred years, that has been standard operating procedure from the aristocracy to the people who run things to the magnates of industry that's always had their aristocracy. So once we opened up capitalism, what's the first thing that the quote capitalists wanted to do, not just in Europe, but also in America? Get mobbed up with the aristocracy and the monarchy. You and me don't give a damn about the king or queen or nothing. But all of your damn rich folk in America, all of them done met with them folk. Everywhere you go, whoever is the king, the boss in Monaco or whatever to this day, they mobbed up with them. That's always been a consistent priority. Well, why is that? Because those folk understand. They're all on the same page. You're the lords of that nation and we're the lords of this industry.
Right.
So you see, we have that in common. Our competitors are not our enemies. By that, I mean our peers are not our enemies. The people are our enemies.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not here to fight with you, and you're not here to fight with me. You and me need to be neutralizing the people, not each other.
Exactly.
And that is what they've been doing ever since. So when you go to the Deep South, it doesn't matter where the plantation is. The folks who own the plantations are all of the same mind. They don't have to meet each other.
Mm-hmm.
They're all of the same mind. Did I just show you another reliable response? Damn! So Jason, 720 degrees of analysis, where Brother Neely Fuller said, white supremacy takes both sides of an argument. Yes, we need a reliable response from both sides. Mm-hmm. From the dominated and the dominator. We can't keep this thing going if you don't understand how to dominate them. This thing will collapse. It's going to be too fragile. So I can't depend on you to maintain this thing if you don't understand how to dominate them. And it has to be nonverbal. We can't sit here and just have you run down the list of things because documentation is our enemy. But when you meet somebody who's in the same boat, y'all two need to recognize real. That's what we need. Real got to recognize real. If y'all have to do a bunch of talking, you're going to start fighting. So when y'all show up, real got to recognize real. Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk have been bitter rivals now for years. But here's the problem. That's white supremacy 101. Jeff Bezos is not upset with Elon Musk because Elon Musk, is white supremacist and discriminatory and doing all this old crazy stuff and stealing your data. Because Jeff Bezos does the same damn thing. Okay, so his grievance with Elon isn't because Elon is immoral or whatever, because Jeff doing the same damn thing. In many cases, he's doing it way worse. So we know that's not what it is. So what are you two at odds about? Oh, we both want the same thing. Oh, well, I think my way of doing it's better. And Elon's like, no, my way of doing it's better. So they're not arguing over whether there will be dominance or whether there will be white supremacy. Their only real argument is over who's going to execute it. And when you think about it, that's not a great place for you. They're only arguing with each other about which one of them is going to dominate you. And you be a damn fool talking about, well, I think I'll let Jeff do it. What? I mean, he got the bad, but I'll let Jeff dominate me. That'll work.
He's nicer.
Yeah, he serves me cookies. Jeff can dominate. I mean, yeah, the warehouse is 125 degrees, but Jeff bring me cookies sometimes, so we can do that right there. Elon, he just bring me crackers, but Jeff bring me cookies. Mm-hmm. All right, let me get. I gotta go now. Let me get back to work. Let me get some water. Gotta get back to work. Jeff's like, yeah, he's got to get back to work. Thanks, Rufus. Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate it. That's what you're dealing with there. So they're not arguing over whether what they're doing is wrong or immoral or bestial or exploitative. They're not arguing with each other over that. That's not what their beef is over. Their beef is over who's going to be in charge. Somebody in the chat room said, well, I told y'all before, it's not white supremacy is a cake. They're not fighting over whether it should be a cake. They're just fighting over who holds the knife. Mm-hmm. Who gonna cut the slices? That's all they're arguing over. Jeff is fighting with Elon over who gonna get a bigger slice of the white supremacist cake. But they're not arguing over whether there will be a cake. You and me are like, damn this cake. They're both like, no. Matter of fact, we can get a big one. Coming in the morning here. They're bringing the Brinks truck. We got a flatbed bringing in the new cake in the morning. So we're gonna need a real big knife. But that's the only thing they're arguing over. When you realize that that's what's going on, it's like, oh, hell no, this ain't no place for me. Neither one of them is your buddy. And don't think that you're pitting them against each other the way you think it is, because you don't understand what their conflict really is. Oh, yeah, and one more thing. When Trump got inaugurated, who was there? Damn! Now, talk about awkward. Now talk about awkward. So Elon and Jeff got to damn me dance around the damn White House, and there's Mark Zuckerberg's little awkward ass slithering around there. Okay, now if Elon was really running things the way folks say, don't you think? Yes, Donald. I think it would be a bad idea to let Jeff in. He's not a team player, and he's Donald. It would just be bad. It's awkward. You know, we had a very, very strange Christmas, and yes, just everybody. Okay, Mark. I know I wanted to fight Mark. Yes, me and Mark were going to fight in the UFC. Okay, Mark can come, not Jeff. Think about that for a few moments. Elon don't get along with nobody. He wants to bomb Jeff, and he wants to punch Mark. Okay, when Trump got inaugurated, who was there? All of them. Mm-hmm. What I'm saying is that their so-called conflicts don't mean to them what you think it does. That's not what their beef is really over. It's deep, don't get me wrong, but it's not deep the way you think it is. That's the crazy part right there. So these guys ain't treating nothing like no damn football team like black folk do voting. It's a football team. I don't care if I don't get nothing. They're voting. They're backing the team that promotes them. They got an agenda and they're backing the team for that. While they're teaching you, back to the prince, they've taught their children to run things, and they're teaching your children not to expect anything. Mm-hmm. Simply be bad to be part of the process. That's the freedom of being an American for you and yours. You're part of the process. And don't worry, we'll see him rolling the bowling ball down here after we done paid him a few shekels to tell you all that that's the most you should expect to. Mm-hmm. And if we do this long enough, hopefully we have engendered a Pavlovian response, a reliable response, both from the dominated and the dominator. And we'll see how long this runs.
Well, Jason, I'm going to land with this because I'm so appreciative of you for explaining and breaking it down in the 720 degrees analysis, the only way you can do so. I was having a conversation with someone earlier today, and they were basically asking me a question of why don't Angela Rye speak when we're saying the same things, and then she'll come out later and say, why don't Joyless Reed speak up the way we speak up? And then when something happens to them, then everybody in their culture want to run and speak up for them. And I was explaining to them, you got to watch anybody who's been trained to eat whenever they hear the bell. You got to watch anybody who's been trained to speak whenever they hear that dog whistle from the legacy media. Because if you're waiting on them to say anything for us, you're going to lose every single time. But guess what? Anytime they need them people to speak, all they do is ring that bell. Thank you for having me up, Jason. You have a very blessed day.
Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Like I say, for the folks they've directly bought and paid off, they're already paid for, man. And here's the crazy part about it. When her damn number came up, what could she do?
Auntie, chill!
By the way, hey, Joy Reid, what you got to show for all that ass kissing you did? Oh yeah, one more thing. For everybody out there who was disputing me and debating me before about, well, Jason Rowland can hire her. By the way, has Rowland done anything to help Joy Reid?
Nigga, please.
Oh yeah, one more thing. Did I call it or did I call it? Oh yeah, one more thing. Did I call it or did I call it? Has Rowland done anything to help Joy? I showed you where he tried to use it to carve off some audience members for himself. But oh yeah, one more thing. Has he lifted a damn big fat pinky bloated finger to help Joy? Yes, sir. Has he lifted one of those swollen, hot link built fingers to help her? Asking for a friend? Oh, yes, indeed. That went exactly the way you thought. Let me tell y'all something, folks. Please understand this. When Melissa Harris Perry got sailed down the damn river, you didn't hear from her again? Stop lying to yourselves. You didn't hear from Melissa Harris Perry again. You didn't hear from Goldie Taylor again. You didn't hear from Tiffany Cross again. You ain't hearing from Angela Rye again. And you won't be hearing from Joy Reid again either.
And deal with it, nigga.
You can just let go of that delusion. You didn't hear from any of the others that they tossed overboard, and you won't be hearing from Joy again either. That's not the way it works. Now, how is it y'all didn't hear from nobody else and you're sitting around expecting that Joy gonna make a comeback? White supremacy doesn't break its tools, it crushes them. Ain't gonna be no comeback for you. When they say you're done, you're done. You know why? Because there are other folk that may want to work with that corporation, and if they see you running around with her, they gonna let you know, yeah, we ain't gonna fool with you. If we say that her career is dead, her career is dead. Folks, okay, now that we done gotten that subject right there, let's be very, very clear. Let me go ahead and just give you the 720 degrees of analysis you receive absolutely nowhere else. Why in the hell do you think that Drake is fighting for his life right now? Damn! Because he's seen the machine do this before. He has seen the machine scuttle careers before when they sit up here and smear your name and take your funding for you and tell folks that you're done and you're over. And anybody who wants to work with you, the machine ain't gonna get behind them. The machine starts sending them messages. Yeah, you know, he's really done and over. And if you do something with him, you're done and over too. He's a has-been, and if you try to link up with him, you're a has-been too. You thought that was just the music business? Hell no. When they send the word down, that's it. When they send the word, that's it. They let everybody know you're untouchable. Don't fool with him. We ain't gonna fool with you. You're done. So in news media, no, they gonna send the word. All right, Joy has been let go. You ain't gonna pick her up again. She done. And if you try to fool with her, you done too. That's the way that goes. When the media was done with Dan Rather, now I'm showing you a white example, but when they really for real done with you, that's it. When Dan Rather was done, that was it. He went to like HD Net for a moment, but that was it. You are out. You're out. What was his name? Was that Rick Sanchez on CNN? When they said he was done, he was done. That was it. Mr. Black 86, I need to get you on Zoom. Tell Mr. Black 86 he's got 2 minutes to be on Zoom. Let's see if this person here will actually stand up for their cause. None of the others have. They've been clowning themselves all night. But when they say you're done, bruh, that's it. So there is no resurrecting Joy Reid. She would need somebody with major pockets and major backing. And nah, the machine done got together. They had their little backroom deal and that's it. CNN ain't gonna touch you. ABC, NBC, they're not gonna touch you. They're not gonna touch you. Not gonna do it. You're through, man. That's not me talking. Okay, but here's my real point. Hey, Joy Reid, so how did all that rabbit ass kissing work out for you? Sitting up here accusing us of being Russian bots and self-hating and all this old mess right here. Oh, they hate black women and, oh, because we don't like abortion. Okay, how the hell did that work out for you, Joy? Baby, you had that big bald head, rammed up between their butt cheeks, kissing their asses. Okay, Joy, how'd that work out for you? You didn't see this coming? Think about this for a few moments, folks. Joy Reid didn't see it coming. She didn't know that was going to happen. Joy Reid told herself it was going to be her and Rachel Maddow till the wheels fell off. And the fact that Rachel and all the others are still there, except Alice Wagner. Alice Wagner's already heading on her way out. But the fact that everybody else is there except Joy. Now, are you telling me Chris Hayes was bigger than Joy Reid? That doesn't make sense from a financial logistical standpoint. Are you saying that Joy was too expensive? Well, if you take a few million off of Rachel Maddow, she was already, you took some off that 30 to 25. If you take that 25 down to 20, obviously letting Joy Reid go wasn't about ratings and it wasn't about money. Very clearly, it wasn't about ratings and it wasn't about how much she was getting paid. It's your time. Your number has come up. And if you had you were going to get cut any damn way. These niggas always try to act like they got a cheat code and that they're going to be booed up with. You just don't understand the white establishment. I understand it better. They think they're going to get booed up. They think they're eventually going to get booed up. And that they'll be the special Negro and they will be exempt. And they'll get to spend the rest of their lives wagging their fingers at us. Y'all, she didn't see it coming. She didn't know that that's the way the game always ends. She thought she was going to be special and different. And after all of that, they threw her out on the trash pile along with everybody else. She was a loyal soldier who did exactly what they told her to do, and she got shipped off just the same. So the same thing that Melissa Harris Perry got and the same thing Tiffany Cross got was the same thing Joy Reid got. She got the same thing as all of them. But don't worry, it'll be another one. There'll be another one to come up behind her. And don't worry, I know the real way. See, Joy was making trouble behind the scenes. I'm not like Joy. I just keep my head down and keep myself quiet here and just do your job. And it's not going to happen to me like it happened to Joy. No way, not me. Please understand that the next one is already waiting in the wings. They're going to have to wait a minute. They corralled all their Negroes and shoved them all off on one little show down there. So you can't do that. Okay, on Zoom, I've got Darren here on Zoom. Darren, just to make sure we don't have any trolling issues, I just need to make sure you have your camera and your microphone turned on for me here, just so we don't have any trolling issues. We'll give you a couple of seconds for that, sir, and then we're going to have to go ahead and move on. So, Darren, I can give you a couple of seconds to go ahead and do that. That is not optional here. So, Darren, please make sure you have your camera and microphone turned on. Just make sure you're not trolling. Nobody else is going to see you except for me. So, Darren, you don't have a light on in there. So, I don't know if you're doing your OnlyFans or whatever, but if you're dancing naked in the dark or something, we got to get that fixed. So, go ahead and turn the light on for us here, sir. Nobody else is going to see you except for me. It's just me. Nobody else is going to see you except for me. But, yeah, I do need to make sure, just so we don't have any trolling issues, make sure we have that taken care of. So, Darren, I can give you a couple more seconds here, and then we're going to have to move on. So I give him a couple more seconds, and then we can get that taken care of. So folks be calling me up and stuff, and they turn off their OnlyFans webcam and then they switch over to me and it's like, oh, Jason, hold on, I gotta put my G-string back on. And it's, it's
nigga, please.
Yeah, I be catching them with their G-strings on and then they're like, oh, Jason, you caught me out here. All right, we got Darren here on Zoom. Darren, what's on your mind?
I'm just popping in. I don't even know what the topic is just yet.
Okay, you're just calling in, but you don't know what the topic is.
I just hit the link from YouTube.
Okay, Darren, is this your first time listening to the program?
It's been some years since I've listened to you. It has been some years.
Okay. And how long you been listening in the night, sir, before you click the Zoom link?
I don't think I've heard you in about 5, maybe 6 years.
Okay. Then you have a lot of catching up to do. So let me go ahead and let you get to that and take the night off, Darren. It's, y'all, I don't even know what the topic is. I don't even know what you're talking about. I haven't listened to you in 5, 6 years. Okay, so he fresh out the joint. Some of these fellas be called, some folk call me up, they fresh out. They've been, they on paper and it's, they trying to catch up. It's like, damn, is there anybody else out there I used to know still there? They go on TV. Damn, Love and Hip Hop got canceled. They looking for the newest Joe Budden album. Damn. Yeah, they looking for the new Joe Budden album. Yeah, they just got the joint and it's, damn, Joe Budden got an album. They see him on YouTube and yeah, man, Joe got. Hey, Joe, you ain't making an album. You on YouTube? What it did? Mike Tyson retired. He ain't retired. He fighting this white boy named Jake Paul. He fighting him. Mike Tyson ain't retired. Tyson's still out here. That confused the hell out of him. Oh man, that confused the hell out of him. Yeah, can you imagine? You done got out the joint. Yeah, boy, Tyson was in the ring when you went in, you came back out. Tyson's still fighting. He like George Foreman. Yeah, we all talking about this. Tyson's still fighting this. Now he's just confused. Who the president is? Trump still president. Damn. I thought I was down for 10 years. I must have been down for 2. Trump's still president. Stuff can be confused. How Trump president and Tyson still in fighting? Something wrong here. What is going on? Something wrong. They break out their Motorola flip phone. Let me call. Let me see what old girl doing. Let me see if her number's still up in there. Let me see if she can answer this thing here. What's going on? Looking at the BET Awards, he don't recognize nobody. He looking at the BET Awards and don't recognize anyone. He see a bunch of categories. He like, who is this right here? Who is Soldier Boy, NBA Young Boy, Soldier Boy, Young Boy, all these boys. What is it, LGBT Awards? What is this? Soldier Boy, Young Boy. Who is this? Yeah, man. Folks, they're going to try to trigger you. They're going to try to trigger you. They're letting you all know they are resorting to desperate tactics. We have to make sure that we're on top of this, and we are not going to let them gaslight us or bait and switch anymore. We are not going to do that. Not going to do it. We're not going for it. Them days are done. Them days are over. And there's a reason that they are, and good riddance to them. I'd like to thank everyone who has contributed to support tonight's program on PayPal, Super Chat, Venmo. Shout out here to Carlette.
I told you all that I was the greatest of all time. I told you today I'm still the greatest of all time.
Thank you very much for your support, Carlette. We appreciate that. Mr. Richburg, Tahuti, Mark B, Sandra, Keith. Also in the Super Chat, we appreciate that as well. Barbara Williams and everybody else here. We got a bunch of folks here who gave out some memberships tonight. So thank you very much for your support. It is the gift that keeps on giving. We appreciate that. If you are new here to the Black Channel, welcome to the Haven of Intelligent Black Thought. We do this every weekend on holidays, some days in between. Click that red subscribe button. Click that yellow notification bell. Join us each and every time that we are here. If you haven't been to our website, blackchannelfilms.com, check out our groundbreaking best-selling documentary work, blackchannelfilms.com. That is blackchannelfilms.com. I want to thank all of you for tuning in to tonight's program, live or recorded. Thank you all for liking, subscribing, and sharing. And this concludes tonight's broadcast of the Black Channel. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. And until next time, my brothers and my sisters from around the world, remember, black is the future, and the future is uncompromising.